أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات وأولئك لهم عذاب عظيم يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, today the topic was around solidarity, unity, but also solidarity. We'll say a few things about this, but mainly today it's about rethinking or thinking about the way we have to deal with unity within the community. And you have here verses that are very well known, that are dealing with how Allah Azza wa Jal is asking us to think about this unity and what could be the principles as well as the means on which and through which we can reach this unity as Muslims. As you know, Surah Al-Imran, part of it is mainly a surah that was revealed in Medina. So it's very much when the Muslims are there. And in these verses, one of them is referring to the tribes, Al-Khazraj wal-Aws wal-Khazraj, who were in Medina fighting one another, and this is where Allah is saying, we took you from there to organize your relationship or to set your relationship on the very essence of brotherhood. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ إِخْوَانًا, as it is said here. So let us start with the first verse of this passage, which has to do with يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ, which is a call to the believers, to the Muslims. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, as we know. اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ means something which is quite important here, because it means explicitly that there is a quality of the way you are conscious of God, and you can find taqwa here it's a concept which you can see that there are many translations. Very often, the great majority of the translation are speaking or talking about fear. So in very often when you go to the Salafi and taqwa, it's about fear. You in your translation is be mindful. In Muhammad Asad is conscious and consciousness. It's God's consciousness, that this is the fact that we are conscious that there is one God. There is something which is deeper than that. In fact, is reverence, is acknowledging, but there is something which is coming from the heart, which is the way al-damir is connected to the heart. The damir could be consciousness, which is coming from your mind that I acknowledge, but there is something which is a taqwa, it's also coming from your heart. The Prophet ﷺ once was saying that taqwa ha huna, meaning he was directing us towards the heart. So it's not only being conscious, it's something which is a loving reverence, loving piety, which is more than only acknowledging that there is one God with your mind. And we had a discussion in one of our seminars in Kyle, where the discussion was about morality, because you need this kind of consciousness. So one of the scholars, Raisuni, was saying, we are talking here about the taqwa. And I think I said this here once already, but one was saying taqwa is only connected to faith. And Raisuni was saying, no, there is a word that we can use, it's also a damir. So you have no taqwa without damir, while the damir is helping us to have morality. And Sheikh al-Qardaghi, another one, was saying, no, taqwa it's only Islamic, it's only about faith. So just, you can see here that the very understanding of taqwa here, when it comes to God, is something which is multiple meanings that you can get, and you can see this. But to translate this into piety or to translate this into fear is not correct. It's deeper than that. It's this consciousness with heart and love, which is a taqwa, is what is helping you to be connected to Allah and to do good. So it's you do good because you love Him, not only because you fear. So there is something which is acknowledgement, reverence, mindfulness, consciousness, and love all together. So it's a word that it's not as easy as that. And then what is said in this verse is that haqqa tuqatihi means that you need to understand that there are steps, there are levels, there are quality, and then you have to be very careful, which the care which is due to Him, which the love, which the consciousness that is due to Him. So there is something which is a contract, there is an understanding that you can't believe or you can't acknowledge, and you can't have this consciousness at the periphery. You need to work on it. And this is where it's important. Why? Because very often there is something which has to do with brotherhood. Unity is also the quality of your taqwa, is the way you connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the first call here, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ. So it's what is due to Him. So there is something which is an effort that you have to do to get this consciousness, to get the right quality, the right love, the in-depth of this acknowledgement. And then وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ means also that not only there is something which has to do with the in-depth of your faith, but it has to do with the time that you have to struggle. It's a double struggle. Struggle for striving for intensity and in-depth, and striving to keep it. So this is your double meaning as well, that what we should understand, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ means be careful, this is something that can come and leave, that you are responsible to keep it. So faith, the quality, you have a double responsibility to make it deep and to make it permanent. So permanent as to the time, deep as to the quality. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So at the same time, this double responsibilities is also telling us how much this could be fragile, that you have to be very cautious. It's not done once and for all. It's a process that you need to understand, and then in which you are involved, and this is the way you need to realize this. What is coming just after that is to understand that it's here, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, it's a personal responsibility. It's a call to the individuals. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, it's for every one of us. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And then there is something that we have to understand. Why do we have this unity that we are talking about, this community? The community has a role for us as a community to help us as individuals. And this is where you have وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. What we have here, the translation is the rope as we have it, and hold fast all together onto the bond with God and on the rope, and do not draw apart from one another. Here, the Mufassirun understood وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ is al-Qur'an al-Kareem, the revelation. And this is the main understanding of what is وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ, al-habl, what is connecting. And this is coming from many other verses. One of them that we mentioned already in Surah Al-Rahman, when we have أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان, and the link between al-insan and Allah is al-Quran. And for the community, this is where you will find this unity, which is quite interesting if you get to this, because in fact al-Quran is one text, one revelation, but we know that the unity based on this will be one text and many interpretations, because by definition the text is not one interpretation. So the unity here is about the essence, and we'll get it just after this. What is the essence of what is coming out of the Quran has to do with the principles and has to do with the good deeds. This is the essential, and as we know that the Quran, mainly the great majority of what is coming out of the Quran is about good behavior, morality, and al-qasas, all the stories are about good behavior. It's not about, and the scholars are saying the principle, the rules, al-ahkam, and all this is 1% to 3%. The maximum is 5% of the Quran. So what you will get from the Quran mainly is Allah, the Tawheed, is the nature of our rituals, and then good behavior. So this is it, al-Islam wal-Iman, and then al-Ihsan, which has to do with the good character, good morality. So here, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا means your unity is based on the source. Your unity is based on the source. And the source is Al-Quran. Al-Quran is always, you are not going to come to Al-Quran, to this rope, if you don't have taqwa. So the quality of your taqwa will be the quality of you, the way you hold fast to the Quran, to what is uniting you. And there is something here which is essential, is your individual responsibility will have an impact on the community, and the community will have an impact. So وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا means that the community will have an impact on your taqwa, And as we had it before, your taqwa will have an impact on your the community. So it's a two-way process. So you can't go alone, and as you know, the Prophet ﷺ was just advising the Muslims, be careful, be with the community, al-jama'ah, which is very important. We need the jama'ah because this is from where you will get your strength. But at the same time, the jama'ah needs you to care about yourself, to care about your own taqwa. Because it's only through this that you will be useful. It's only through that that you will come with this. So you cannot just hope that the community will do it for yourself and get it in the other verse that we are very often quoting. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Look at the way the verse is if the structure is very deep. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ, the community, حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ, every one of them. So the destiny, the change, the reform of a community depends on the fact that every single person, every individual starts with himself, start with herself, and start this reform process. So it's and this is everything which has to do with morality within a community has to do with the two ways, which is, and this is why sometimes in the way we talk about the Muslim community, we are stressing so much on the community that we don't come to the individual. So the acknowledgement that the individual and his or her autonomy, it's essential here. And then you come with the community. But a community where there is no clear understanding of autonomy and individuals is not going to work. And individuals that don't have the sense of how and why they need the community are going to be lost. This is individualism. This could be ego-centric excess, while you need two. So once again, you will get that also in this. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And unity is the source. So it's when we come to Allah and the revelation. So once again, if we come and we say Al-Quran is what is helping us to get unity, means the unity, the text, and Allah is helping us through the text to understand that we will agree on the essentials of the text, but we need also to accept that the essential of the text is helping us to have, or is driving us to have, many interpretations. So it's not about one interpretation. The text, the unity of the text, or the rope here, it's not based only on one understanding. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ, as we have it here, which is and remember the favor of Allah, of God, on you when you were enemies, then He united your hearts, so by His favor you became brethren. So here, brothers and sisters, you became brothers and sisters. So there is something which is the source, is helping. You have to hold fast to the source, which is the Quran, coming from God, understanding that before that you were divided. What is going to make you brothers and sisters? And in fact, it's always the same. In spiritual way, we are brothers and sisters in Allah. In a physical way, we are brothers and sisters because إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى. So there is something which is the source, is making you brothers and sisters. You need to get it physically, and you need to get, in fact, in a biological way as much as in a spiritual way. So we need to get this, which is why, and it's not new in the Islamic tradition, the human brotherhood, or to be brothers and sisters in humanity. This is something which is essential here, and this is what we find in Nawawi when he was talking about the hadith of the hadith that we find saying لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه. Akhi, it's brother or sister in humanity, not only in. And this is why, for example, you have other verses or other hadiths that could be understood by the literalist as there are only two ways of being brothers and sisters, through blood and through faith. Everything else has nothing to do with brothers. They are enemies or kuffar, they are outside. Which, in fact, once again here, it's problematic because we have other verses where we can find things that are different. Now, understanding that the true understanding of your relationship with God will help you to go beyond divisions that you find within the society. And you will find, how do we go beyond this division? What is helping us when we are connected to Allah, coming back to Allah, coming back to the Quran, to go from potential enemies to true brothers and sisters? What are the principles? And you have them here. When you come to this, فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. أَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُم. The first thing is, أَلَّفَ is that He connected your hearts. So the love that you have towards Allah is what is going to help you to be brothers and sisters. So ولكن الله ألف بينهم ولو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا. If you were to spend everything on earth, it wouldn't have been possible for you to connect the hearts. ولكن الله ألف بين قلوبهم. So this is coming from God. This is something which is the secret. And then we have to get this. As much as you don't know why you have faith, there is something that is going to come with your faith, is that when you see and when you meet somebody who is sharing your faith, there is this secret of sharing our love towards Allah should and will create love among ourselves. So shared love, open hearts. Inshallah. Not always, but normally. If you understand the essential, is that why this is important? Because if you understand this, at the end, it's also important when you have some people saying, for example, you know what, the Shia are more dangerous within the community than the Jews. In fact, because we don't agree on some rules, we end up taking the rules as more important than the heart that is believing in one God. So when you reverse the thing that, for example, your madhab, which is not the heart, but the way you understand the text, it's in fact more important for you, a set of rules, than the heart that is helping you to understand the rules. You are reversing the whole system. And when you reverse the whole system, is the starting of divisions. Who did this? The people before you. So this is why you have in the Quran, don't do that, don't follow. And we are exactly following, unfortunately. This is what we are doing that. أَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. So it's ni'mat Allah. Ni'mat Allah is the favor of Allah, that we can get this unity out of this love, out of these three things now that we have. First, one God, the book, and then فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ is the love that you have between you. That is essential. This is a ni'mah, this is a favor of God, which is connected to the love that you have towards Allah. So the whole thing is based on that. That's what we have here, that is helping you to go beyond your divisions and why you are divided. In fact, when you are divided is that you forget the essential of what is uniting you, that you can struggle for things on this earth and not coming back to the source. So forgetting Allah and having other priorities in your life, this is where what happened before. وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ فَأَنْقَذَكُمْ مِنْهَا. So this is why, once again, referring to where are you coming, where do you come from? So what is the change that your faith is making with you or doing with you? حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها وكذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. Which is once again something which is important here, is that in the way you went beyond your divisions, these are signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. So we need to understand also signs in some things that we don't know where they are coming from. In this, for example, you go in some places, you see people, they share your faith, and they are expressing something which is respect, love, serving you. And mainly in where people are quite simple in their life, when they are close to the tradition, there is something which is they are opening hearts very quickly when they say, are you a Muslim? And there is something which is happening here, which you think it's not only a tradition, it's not only a culture, it's a secret, ni'mat Allah. So this is it. This is what we have. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, it's not only ni'mah, it's a sign that I'm here. It's a sign. There is something in this community. So why we need to keep this in mind? Because in fact, whatever divisions we face, whatever troubles we have within the community, there is a secret, and it's a strong signs coming from Allah. He's saying this: لا تجتمع أمتي على الخطأ. It's just my community is not going to unite on things that are wrong. We are not going to do this. There is something which is positive. So there is, in our understanding of the Muslim community, whatever problems whatever is happening, whatever is the situation, keep a positive perception, because there is a secret, there is ni'mah in the community. So even if you meet a group of Muslims that are not so good, even you have divisions, even if there is something bad, the community as such is something which is a favor, that there is a sign of Allah's presence, and it's beyond the individuals. So this is why sometimes you look at the Muslims in the West, for example, say, sometimes you can ask yourself, what are we doing? It's completely wrong. Our discourse is wrong, our way of dealing with the people, and still something is improving, still something is happening, still there is, 2 generations from now, if you look at the situation, what have we achieved is sometimes beyond our divisions, that there is ni'mah beyond our short comings and anything that we are doing. So this is something that we need to keep, because you need to be positive with the community, and you are positive with the community because mainly you are positive with Allah first. That Allah is saying, there are signs that I'm not far from the community, I'm not far from Al-Quran, this is the light, and then I'm not far from people coming back to Al-Quran. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. So this is where we are. And then, after all this, Allah, the rope, so acknowledging that there is one God, the rope is the Quran, this is the unity with many interpretations, is that not the problem? And then what is going to help you to get this is to understand that everything will start with your heart, the way you connect to Allah and the way you connect. So the way you connect to Allah is with your heart, the way you are going to connect to the Quran is with your mind. So the 2 things are here. It's your heart as to the unity, your mind as to manage this unity and the diversity of interpretation. The 2 things are here. So you have this, and this will be this relationship based on your heart and based on your love, but based on your understanding. And then this is something which is coming like this, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming with something which is also important now in the way, the interpersonal relationship. And say, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُم is to say part of you. There will be people among you. There is a community among you. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُم, meaning not all of you, but you will have people. And meaning by this, that wherever you go, whatever is your take on the community, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُم. Let some people do the job. Maybe not all the people are going to do this, but your trust in the community is not to see all the people doing good. No. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُم. In fact, we need people who within the community are doing what is necessary to get unity. To sit down and to say, let us be united, is not going to work. And how do you get this unity? By yourself do what is necessary. And what is necessary to get unity? This is why we have it here. It's not a discourse, it's action. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. So it's, yes, you are calling for what is good. Look, it's not going with al-halal. It's not going with al-khair, which what is good. Al-khair, here what you have as a translation here in... and from among you, there should be a party who invites to good and enjoy what is right and forbid what is wrong. So, al-khair is something which is beyond al-halal wal-haram wal-ma'ruf wal-munkar. Here, this is something which is among you, let people do this. So, we have all this, and what is going to be so Allah, al-Quran, and then love. And the way you love Allah and the way you understand the Quran, and then what is going to be in practical terms the elements that are helping this unity within the community is to call for what is good. So, and to call for what is good is based on al-amr bil-ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar. What is al-ma'ruf and what is... So our way of being united is the way we call, and we should call for what is good and forbid what is wrong. So it's once again based on the behavior, it's based on morality, it's based on ethics. This is where it's important. So, in fact, when you think about enjoy what is right and forbid what is wrong, these are the ethical side, the values. It's not the ahkam. The ahkam, in our way of understanding them, sometimes we can have division. And in fact, when we start with al-ahkam, we will get division. When we start with the objective of al-ahkam, we start with unity. In fact, all the Muslims would agree on Allah, they would agree on what is good, they will agree on what is wrong. We all agree on that. These are elements of unity. Now, the way it's going to be translated through al-ahkam in a specific context, this is where we are going to have different interpretations. But if we start with different interpretations, this will go to division. If we start with what is behind and what are the values behind al-ahkam, this is where we'll go you will get unity. So understanding al-khair, understanding al-ma'ruf, understanding what is bad as values, as ethical quality, this is where you can. If you go to anyone, a Salafi, a Sufi, say, okay, is this right as a value that you have to lie? It's wrong, drinking is wrong. On the value, we agree. Now, on the rules and their interpretation and implementation, we may not agree. And this is where praying 5 times a day, we agree. The value is, say, why do you pray? Go to a Salafi, go to anybody else. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ, to remember Allah. We all agree on this. Now, the way it's going to be translated, so we need to put the priority on the essence, on the meaning, on the value, and not on the rules. Why? It doesn't mean that the rules are not important, but we understand the rule through the value and not forget the value in the name of the rules. And this is what we have. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Those are going to be shall be the successful. And then we have something which is something that is putting us in history. لا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات أولئك لهم عذاب عظيم. So this is once again you have it's a danger. You should know that as people, all the religions before you, they went through divisions. So we need to know what are the parameters of unity in order to avoid what happened to others. And what is important here, which is something, for example, which is in my life today, when it comes to the Quran, if you come to the Quran and you start reading some of the rules, by definition, you will have different interpretation, and this might create this diversity of interpretation that is not managed well, and then we end up having divisions. In fact, if you speak about the values and if you speak about the objectives, you will see that this is where we agree. So, in fact, we should do it the other way around. Instead of starting with the rules where we have diversity, we start with the objectives. And then you come to the values. Say, okay, we might agree on the objectives, which is al-amr bil-ma'ruf and nahy al-munkar. And then you come to the different interpretations and say, as long as we are within Islam, that's fine, as long as the objectives. So some of the scholars are saying al-qat'i wal-hukm aw al-nas, but it might be that the al-qat'i is also the objective. Is al-qat'i which is not open for discussion, that we have to work for justice, that we have to work for dignity, that we have, this is qat'i, that we have to work. And if sometimes our understanding of some rules are going against what is qat'i as an objective, we might have to rethink the way we deal with that by starting with things on which we agree. So it's a risk, it's something that we need to tackle as a Muslim, and this is where we need to unity is not something that we claim, it's something that we protect from that. And the verse is saying, it's unity, you protect it. You work for unity, and you have to get, in fact, education and a clear strategy to keep your unity. Education is what are your priorities in order to keep unity. If you don't know your priorities, that's going to be division. If you don't know your common priorities, if you don't know your common objectives, if you don't know what is common as to your values, you will get this division, and you will forget all the elements. So we come back to this. It's Allah, it's the Quran, and then once again, the Quran is much more about the values and the objectives than only the rules. And then it's love, which is important. Then it's in the community and action, which is promoting what is right and resisting what resisting what is bad, which is a proactive actions of some people. So we need to have within the community brothers and sisters whose role is to work for unity. So it's an internal process. It's a two-way process, individual, but we need people to work for that. So it's not just all of us, we speak about that. We have to have within the community people who have this in mind. How do we work for more unity within the community? And then if you look at this, there is something here which is quite clear about, but there is a clear division that you have to set. All this is within the community, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting something which is clear for us, between us and others, and us and where is the limit. And this is here when you say, يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ وُجُوهٌ وَتَسْوَدُّ وُجُوهٌ. So, tabyad and taswad, between white and black here, it's between the people who are acknowledging one God and the people who are not. So there is a division that you have to know, that you have to work. We are talking here about the unity of the believers. This is what we are talking, the community of Islam and Muslims. And between you and the people who are denying God, or the people who are denying the principles, there will be a distinction in principle. So once again, I know that we had a discussion about this when it comes to the way we deal with people who do not acknowledge Islam. You know, first they don't acknowledge that there is one God. So to have common values and principles, we agree on that. But there is clear distinction, that there is something which is for us, we believe that this is the truth, that Allah is truth and that there is truth in this life. And Allah is telling us that there is something which is acknowledging the fact that Islam is the last revelation and it came with one God and the last messenger. This is your truth. And then there is one thing that is going to be certain, that one day you will come back to Him, which is one of the first teachings, lessons that we got from Him. And this also has to build your personality. It has to build yourself and your heart and your mind. And with this, you have to work for a religious, spiritual unity within the community. But unity, once again, is not a unity of thought, it's a unity between hearts. Thoughts are, so I'm always saying this, unity within the community is not uniformity of thoughts. That's not going to happen, it will never. And anyone who wants to work for uniformity will create divisions. So it's the other way around. Now, having said this, we need to understand that there are things that are clear between, there is an us and there is them. So when, for example, we speak about the religious community and there is brotherhood, it's true that there is a human brotherhood, but we also know that we are experiencing something that we never experience with people who are not sharing your faith. So just imagine when you are during Ramadan and you have the dua. The dua is just, there is something in the dua which is al-qulub. What is said here, so there is something which is all going together and experiencing something which is a spiritual community for trying to get the God's satisfaction, Rida Allah. So in this, you can get this only with people who are sharing your faith. So this is why, for example, in the Western Muslims and the future of Islam, I was saying, you know, when the people are coming to you and say, okay, لن ترضى عنك اليهود ولا النصارى حتى تتبع ملة. لن ترضى. Tarda is this deep satisfaction. So you yourself are not going to be completely satisfied with all your heart with the Christians and the Jews as the way they pray Allah, because you think it's wrong. You think that it's not you. So satisfaction, deep satisfaction, is only coming with people who are sharing your faith and the fact that you say Allah, Wallahu Akbar, wa dua, all these things, and the way you pray, there is something which is lan tarda. So respect, which is ihtiram, waltizam, this is something that we can get. But this deep satisfaction, you only get it within your community. So when you say لن ترضى عنك اليهود ولا النصارى, it's not about the fact that they are going to fight you. It's going to, they will always have something which is, they can respect you, but don't think that they are going to get as far as to have a spiritual community with you, communion with you. This is not going to happen. As much as you are not going to have it. You are not going to experience this with people who are, you know, for example, saying, you know, I'm worshiping or I'm praying in such a way, or Christ is so important. And you say, okay, that's fine. I respect, but it's not deep satisfaction. It's not shared spiritual communion. And this is something that we have to deal with, and understanding here that it's deep with our heart, and then also this is where your community should be defined. The way we define the community is a spiritual community, and the spiritual community has principles, has limits, and this is why we are talking about the Muslim community as opposed or as different from others. So here, this is the division between al-Iman wal-Kufr, as you have it here. يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ وُجُوهُمْ وَتَسْوَدُّ وُجُوهُمْ فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُمْ فَأَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So this is clearly about people who are rejecting, and this is a division. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming to who is referred to as the Muslim community and the people who are doing good. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ بِيَضَّتْ وُجُوهُمْ فَفِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ وَهُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. So this is once again understanding that what we are trying to reach with our sincerity is to come back to Allah, and then to be among those who have this face which is full of light, because they are trying through their sincerity to rely and to do what is expected from Allah. So last two things that I wanted to say here. تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين. So once again here, it's another thing which is there is a reference here to it twice. The first one is this unity based on a practical commitment towards what is good and resisting what is bad. And there is also something that we need to keep in mind, to be positive about the community and to trust Allah, because He's always repeating this when He's talking about this community, when He's saying, وَمَا اللَّهُ يُرِيدُ ظُلْمًا لِلْعَالَمِينَ. There is no injustice. So there is something which is, as much as we have to be balanced, we have to remember that Allah Ta'ala is always just with us. So He's just within the community, and He's just among all the religious communities. And so we need to get this, that our trust in Allah is two things, is His justice and His rahmah, and His ni'mah as well. The ni'mah is coming from a rahmah, that there are signs. And what is going to help us, and you will see this also, it's always the way we deal with ethics and the way we deal with our values, our principles, and our with justice as something which is helping us as the first and the main ethical reference. And the last verse is now, the two last verses are very important, because as we are coming back to Allah, there is something which is within, and this cosmology that we need to get. He is just, and when you look at your community, you need to understand that in your journey towards Him, you always, and it's always there, you will find this coming back every time in the Quran. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورِ. This is always there for us to remember. Be careful. Don't miss the point. Don't be obsessed with things, divisions, and you forget one thing, that in fact all what you have here, everything that is in front of you, it belongs to Allah. And then you are going back to Him. لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. So this is something which is once again telling you what? Always keep a sense of priority in your life and know what you are doing and know what is for you. Because in fact, things that when divisions start, very often when it comes to ideas, is when you think that you have the truth, that you are right. When you are struggling for goods, for example, this is mine. Divisions have a lot to do with possession. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always saying, it's not yours. So in fact, if it's not yours, the only way that you have to deal with it is based on what is right. Because if you think it's yours, you are struggling not for righteousness or truth, you are fighting for your ego. Divisions have always to do with possession, and possession with ego. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps on coming back, لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, at the end, it's not for you, it's for Him, it's to Him. So what you have to do, you can't act only for your profit, you can't, or for your ego. You have to understand that all this belongs to Him, and then at the end, your actions are about what He's expecting you to do. So very often when you have an argument, and this is why it's very with wisdom that Shafi'i was saying, my opinion is right, but I could be wrong. Meaning that I'm trying my best to be right, I don't possess. And always say this, Allah, truth, we believe in the truth, but and we belong to the truth, but truth doesn't belong to us. When this possession that it belongs to me, it's me. Allah keep on repeating everything, and it goes very far. And in all this discussion that we have about now, that's my body. I do whatever I want with my body. The cosmological answer is لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. I say, what are you talking about? It's just, and then when it comes to anything, even with war, for example, are we ready to fight and to go to war because we want to colonize and we want lands and money? لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And then if it's not yours, it means that you don't have right except with right. It's right, it's value, it's objective that are, so this is where your unity will come from. It's just all as, so you have this coming always, and then, once again, it's on this that you are the best community. And this is in the light of all this. Very often we take this and you don't get the whole landscape, the whole background to this verse when it is said, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You are the best community, and we read it literally as you are the best community. You promote what is right and resist what is wrong. In fact, if you read all what is said before, there is a condition here. In as much as you are the best community, with the condition that you are promoting what is right, and you are, and in the light of what was at the end, what is at the end is وَتَأْمُرُونَ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. So كنت خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. And then what he said about Ahl al-Kitab, which is less important for us, that they are believer, but at that point that they are believer, but they are not implementing the rules. So this is why we need to understand all what we are saying about unity here, and in which way we have to deal with this. And rethinking unity is really something which has to do with, in fact, the starting point is the cosmological understanding. One God, and to him belongs all things, even truth, even the right way of thinking. It's not us. We are trying our best. Now, on this, what is uniting us are values, principles, and objectives. And this is what we have to do. With this connection to him and understanding the same principles, the heart of everything is our heart, al-qalb, allafa bayna qulubi. So we have to work on this. This brotherhood and sisterhood is something which is essential with the principles. This is the strategy. This is where we have to come to. We have to start with this. You will not get anything which has to do with unity within if you start with the rules. No, you start with the principles. And the first one is La ilaha illallah, Tawheed, and then the Quran, and then the principles, and all this connected with the heart as the center of our faith, and our understanding as this understanding of the text, which is essential to get the principles. Because you will get the principles only through your interpretations, and the interpretations are relying on your intellect. So unity is about these two things. Now, having said this, you then come to the rules and the madahib and all what we have, but it's based on this. In all our discussion intra, as a community of believers, first we are a community of believers before being a community of practicing Muslims. The practice could divide the practice, but we are first believers. So let us believe be the center, and then the way we practice, as long as we are within Islam and that we have rules, which is now the other way around. And why is it so? Because when you start with the way it appears, when you start at the periphery, when you start with what we see, this is where division starts. So the way it's implemented, the practical side could divide. So rethinking our unity is in fact, there is no unity if we don't go at the center of things. The center of our practice, the center of our understanding, the center of our link to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then also with this to be able to understand one thing is that our understanding on this, that our principles should be the parameter on which we are creating or nurturing or organizing our unity as Muslims. And we have this at the point where in Surah Al-Hujurat we have وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا فَأَصْلَحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا. If two groups of Muslims, here it's Muslims who are struggling and fighting, قَتَلُوا. وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا. So it's not only jihad in a way, it's al-qital here. It's division. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا. أصلحوا, it's just make peace and reconcile them. فَإِن بَغَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى. And look at this, it's only based on the principles. If one of the two groups transgress, so act against the principles, you have to stand up against the transgressor. So your belonging to the same community is also based on your heart, but is based on principles. Even, and this is what we have in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, help your brother or your sister when he's right and when he's wrong. And one of the companions asking, how can I help him when he's wrong? Prevent him from doing wrong. Meaning that your unity within the community is not to be blind, it's not to accept everything. You have to accept the diversity of understandings, but not injustice, not wrongdoing, not anything which is beyond the limit of what is acceptable. This is where you have to stand. And it means what? Your unity is based on agreed principles that you will get from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. if they are not transgressing means, you can't come to me, you are my brother in Islam and you should accept this. No, I accept within diversity. So this is where my unity is going to be strong. But to accept what is not acceptable against the principles, that's the starting point of everything which has to do. And too often, and I will stop with this, too often Muslims have been quiet on things that are unacceptable from an Islamic perspective, thinking this is the way I will keep unity within. No, this is the starting of divisions. It's the starting of nothing, in fact. There is nothing left if we keep quiet on people who are acting against our common principles. If we accept, this perception that, within we have to keep quiet, we keep this among ourselves, we don't speak about this, don't expose your brothers and sisters, that's fine. Don't expose him or her as long as it's within our principles. But if you are acting against all the principles that are ours, my silence is the starting point of divisions. My silence is the starting point of alienation. So we need to get this right, but it can go very far, because sometimes it's not very easy. We got the question here just after 2005, when the people are saying, what if, as a British Muslim, you know that your brother is going to do something against, this country, so exploding or doing, and you might, or you heard that there is people who are indulging in violence, for example, or terrorist attacks. What are you going to do? Can we expose them? Should we? Do we have to? And we got some difficult answers here, while I think that we can come to this afterward with the discussion.